I got all my seasons of Dragon Ball. I'm in a good position.
We are live. You could put your Dragon Ball Z down, brother. Oh my goodness, man, it's been a minute. I am in rare form. Rare form. So we'll just go ahead and just let Curry pop back in when she come back. But how's everybody doing? We are back. We are back. Welcome to the new fiscal year, not the official new year, because I deal with time that goes with the equinoxes, not so much the calendar. So we're in the fiscal year of 2023. How's everybody doing?
Hey.
Nice.
I'm blessed despite the mess.
I hear that. I hear that.
I'm ready, but without the spaghetti.
Something wrong with you, boy, man. I swear. I'm ready without the spaghetti. But yeah, man, it feels good to be back. This is the first show of the fiscal new year, and we'll probably do another show around the celestial new year, the real new year, to usher in the new cycle. But yeah, man, it's good to see everyone. Let me let her in.
There she is.
Yeah.
Let me see. So yeah, we're gonna get this cracking, man. We got a good show today. We're gonna talk about reparations. If we should have it, if we get it, and what would you do with it? There are currently certain states that are entertaining the concept and the idea. They even threw some numbers out there. But we'll unpack that and get into all of that, on the other side of this thing. I'm gonna go ahead and roll these credits and see y'all on the other side. And we are back. So let's go ahead and jump into this thing. If you guys haven't heard already, they're entertaining the concept of reparations. And I wanted to know what you guys thought about it. I mean, out in San Francisco, I read an article today where they were talking about giving the descendants of slaves, displaced Africans, $1 million each. California is talking $300 and some odd $1,000 for each individual, which realistically, and I'll get into my opinion, what I think about the whole thing, but I don't think that number amount would suffice. But at the same time, I don't think money per se will be a good idea at all.
You must be out of your damn mind.
Why? The money? No.
That's what everything's about in here. This whole thing is based on money. Our thoughts is based on money. Everything is based on money. What do you mean? You know it ain't happening anyway, but let's just go on with this.
I think you might be looking at money as a means of exchange with something that tangibly you can hold. When you look at wealth and you look at commerce and you look at equity and you look at land, yes, it all revolves around a level of money, but then there's a level of money that you can tangibly hold in your hand as a means of exchange, dollars. And then you have wealth, money slash things that actually have value. So when we say the money thing, a lot of people look at what they can hold in their hands. Um,
Mhm.
but my question is
Sure.
this, if we got $1 million, realistically, they gave everybody $1 million. How they would do it, I don't know. But let's
I
just
already tell
say
you. I already
this.
tell you. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm
What,
sorry.
and we're gonna start with Jay. What would you do with $1 million? I mean, first of all, let me ask this question. If they gave us $1 million each, do you think it's a good idea? And why? Anybody?
I'm up in the air. I don't know if it's a good
Okay,
idea,
I got
but
something to say. Oh, go ahead. No, no, you was about to say something. Go ahead. I thought you was gonna give it up, but go ahead.
we all know I love money. What comes with the money? Them giving us some money. Is there stipulations that comes with this money? I would buy all the land I could buy, to be honest.
You
Um,
would Bob?
to take
I would buy land.
what
I mean,
um, I'm in regard to the amount of money as far as reparations being offered. Um, I'm down for a million a year. That's we're still counting on we're still counting, and the Constitution is being just to determine. So along with the money, yes, there needs to be changes with accepting the money. Um, so it is not enough.
I can't
Yeah.
hear.
He said you didn't hear.
Nah,
She was echoing.
So
I can hear her, but I can't hear her. You know what I mean?
Oh,
I'll repeat. So the reparation amount, million, definitely not. I think that would
hold
be
on.
fair since we're on fair year rating. We're still counting 2023. Um, maybe a mil for every 400 years, 400 mil. And in the deficit there, right? This is what we're going to do with it, as Gray added to it. This is where there's negotiations about. It's just that part is just completely just bullshit to me. There's no need to negotiate the amount. There's no need to um, put any stipulations on accepting the money. Every other group has been reparated, so I'm for it. Just I'm not a don't understand the amount of money of why they're offering it so low, but I wouldn't accept it unless the number was up. My self negotiation would not accept the dime unless it was gold.
okay. And we
I
might
couldn't
have to
really
need
get
you to
it. I
repeat
couldn't really
that.
hear you, but I mean,
Uh,
it's like kind of like in and out on my side here. Like I can't like get to complete what you're saying. I mean, I can hear you talking, but it's like going in and out.
right, right. There's some technical. I don't know. If you need to move to a different spot, there's some interference that
On
got you
my
going.
end,
Who me? Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. You just had a foreman when he got on the mic and everything.
yeah. But the reason why I would disagree um with a cash payment is the fact that, first of all, you take people that aren't educated on what to do with the money. This is going to go back to the source. Number
That's
one.
the plan, right?
Number
while
two,
Curry was talking, I thought of that.
yeah,
You're right.
and
Yeah.
number two, I think that we need more resources than we need money. We need more things set aside for as land. We need things set aside for our educational system. We also need stuff to deal with the psychology of the damage that has been done through that whole process that we call slavery. So we got stuff that is so deep rooted. It's not, you can't pay
For the
a
price.
dollar amount to fix it because it's going to take generations to heal. So I think we need things in place that will allow us economically to be able to acquire homes, land, businesses. We would have to kind of like revamp the educational aspect of our history. Like there's so many different components to it than saying, here's $1 million, have a nice day. And the person is not, educationally equipped to do the right thing with the money, and the money is going to go back to where
It doesn't matter if they are, though. You know what I mean? You got to think about that too. In this country, people only care about one thing. Again, money. They don't care about because all is for money. And I'm talking about the party of people. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's kind of you know what I mean? What you get out is like, if I'm gonna give you something, it's up to you to do whatever you want to do with it. Believe me, no matter what people got, they're gonna do what they want to do. If they got education, whatever, they're gonna spend it because they never had it before. But at the same time, I don't believe they're gonna do it that way anyway. They'll probably set up, like you were saying, Dre. They'll probably set it up like programs, money in that way. You won't even get cash. I guarantee you, nobody's getting cash. It'll be like you can get this program now, this school to this school. You can only get it that way. You can't get the cash, but you can use it to elevate. I mean, I guess that makes sense. But I giving out dollars and cash. I believe they're gonna do it in a certain kind of way where you have to sign up for something like some kind of school or business. If you want to start like this, you like get the money like in a credit form. I don't believe it'd be a cash form. You know what I mean?
But if it is a cash form, I think a lot of people are not educated on so it would go right back into the system automatically. Like as soon as you get it, it's going right back like automatically.
A lot of people in one day, real quick, be at Walmart asking for money right after getting $1 million.
And I say buy land, like for me, because like I might like one of my dreams is for me to like have land, like have a whole block, like when I'm dead and gone, my children or my family, like the one whole neighborhood to be like, I have land, like the land that I do have is actually they're on the same block. So if I had money to buy up that whole block, I would buy up the block.
Now here's the thing though. But here's the thing. Now if you won't be able to afford land, I'm about to tell you right now. If they're gonna give you $1 million, the land gonna cost maybe 20 million. No. I'm saying if they're gonna, this is bad trying to get land. If that was where everybody getting $1 million, whatever, the land is gonna be unaffordable. They ain't nobody getting power here, bro. I mean, my bad. You won't be able to afford land with $1 million. Nothing's going to be affordable. Once you get that money, the majority get that money, things are going to go so high that money ain't even going to matter. And that's the whole plan. And that's how they work this system. You know what I mean? So what's affordable now? You know, if I was a millionaire, I could buy this. Once you get that $1 million, that shit that you can afford now, going to boost up so much that $1 million is going to be like $1,000.
That's
I just know how they work.
I was thinking when I said like they're giving money, but at what cost? Like, like what are the stipulations or what are they? You know what I mean? Because technically speaking, yeah, they give you that, but I could see them doing some shit on the back.
That's the trade-off.
Okay, like you know what I'm saying? Because
no value.
Either way it goes. Go ahead.
I like that Trey was saying. When we say that there's resources and things that we have cash invested to our for the education, infrastructure, business, e-commerce, and what we need. We're making the money on our own. Our philosophy now is to put back into ourselves in our own communities. Part of what we have to step away from is relying on government that does not see us as civil or human to rely on for any future resources to help us. That's a self thing that we need to do. So money isn't going to change that. You understand what I'm saying? Unless we have the money to step away from them to build our own, make our resources. Laws are not here to protect you. And they see that they were trying to civilize us as a people. And until they here to civilize, which is a never, these two people need to take money or whatever cash and that is. It decides all on the negotiation table. It's fair. If we look back into the Holocaust survivors, 300,000 million, not even. And that's what we need to be our foot in neck and demanding what's fair, because the resources we already know in 2023, we need to rebuild that ourselves. There's no more playing games, there's no more action, and there's no more favor to qualify us for a Martin Luther King Day, for another something that just appeals or calls situation. More serious than that. We just have to
That
stay
is.
away from personal outcomes. Just pay what you
Y'all
love.
hear that? Now she said something that was good.
A lot of
Now,
good, stuff. I just can't. I couldn't hear
PK,
it because of this.
there's
it's
something
pitching
going
in
on
and
with
out.
the audio. I don't know what it is.
Okay, if you heard it, yeah, definitely feel free to go. I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on.
No, it's like you're going in and out, so you can't get to, like, we can hear little words that some things you're saying, and you know, I mean, we can't really hear the whole of what you're saying, but we can hear certain things that coming in and out, like it's like.
But from what I did hear, and correct me if I'm wrong, the monetary amount is not enough. But we can't look at this thing as a payout to fix our problems, because it's so deeply embedded in the system that we have to look at things that's going to generationally, not just the money, but take, for instance, we have a level of PTSD just as people of color in this country from what we've been through. It's carried over in our DNA. We got a lot of psychological challenges and issues from that. There's no program out here set up to help us heal that. Giving us money won't change our psychology. So we need healing. We need education. And I know that sounds corny, but if you don't know who you are, I don't give a fuck how much money you get, you still lost. And you still going in a direction that's not going to be super productive to your cultural evolution. You're still going to be a slave on a level. I didn't hear what she said.
Damn, can't hear.
Are we going to rely the same body to give us those resources instead of doing it ourselves? Are we still going to rely on them to those resources that help us our mental health and spiritual health? Or we're looking.
Okay, I think what she's saying is, are we going to rely on them for the resources to correct those issues versus us doing it ourselves? And this is why the monetary value wouldn't be enough, because before we can get into, because when we get money, the first thing we're thinking about is where we going to spend it. Number one, what we going to buy. But what she's saying is, you got to have a level of resources to go into infrastructure to build schools, therapeutic centers, places of healing, places of where we can go and learn our history unbiasedly to correct some of the damage, so we can give birth to another generation that's coming after us, where we can kind of breathe this thing out. our money, the payouts they're going to give us will not be enough to just cover that. Even if we took the money and invested in ourselves to do that, we'll run out of money very quickly. But we need to do that. That's imperative that we get that done, even if we did it ourselves. We're going to need way more money than that if it was a payout, just to facilitate the infrastructure for that alone. It won't be
Well,
enough.
we know that's not happening though. We already know that's not happening. So we got to get a little more.
What's not happening?
That whole trying to make it people and all that. This again, man. This country ain't based on that, man. The people alone ain't even thinking like that. You know what I mean? Like that's a personal. That's how individuals look at things. But in a whole, people don't about what you're talking about. And I'm being people don't even care, man. When they come down to money, people just want the money, bro. They don't care about that, you know, better school systems and all that stuff because they don't. But I know what I would do if I had that money. I would just get away. I would just take my family. Well, even, you know, we just get away and just like. But the value of it, I'm pretty sure ain't gonna be. So I don't even know if we can do that. But I'm just saying, I would just get away, man, because I ain't live for this country. I'm trying to be happy with family and shit like
my
that.
point by what you just said.
Exactly.
Why is imperative that we need that?
When other races received their reparations, they were able to do what they wanted to do as they received it. It is our choice. And again, no matter what the amount is, individually, collectively, family-wise, group-wise, culture-wise, it does not matter what you choose money. You need to not worry about the collective, us as Black people, and what we're going to do if we receive the reparations, because if we received it on time, there's no discussion about who's going to spend what on what. Let's get away from worrying about what the individual is going to spend it on. That just don't even matter. Because as we're making money today, we still need to individually rebuild ourselves on how we sit individually, family, or even economical. So let's not even think about what we choose to do with the money. If it happened 400 years ago when we got this money, it was 40 acres. We were going to work that mule for those 40 acres to keep reaping and investing and keep giving us dividends as that land grows. So let's work what we're going to spend it on, because it still makes each individual person in a different income bracket if they're going to.
Damn, I need to hear her.
So, CK, what we're gonna do, what I want you to do is go out and come back in, and I'm gonna read some statements from the chat. Yeah, go out, come back in, and see if that corrects the.
Because you saying some good stuff, but can't hear it. You know what I mean? I can't all come together because you in and out. Your voice is in and out, so it's like then you say then they're like, damn, what the fuck? She's saying some good stuff right now, man.
Let me go to the chat, man. What's up, Pablo? He got some let me see here. Let me get this she'll be back.
Honestly believe that the money value will go down the drain.
Let me read this right quick. Pablo says programs, infrastructure, new schooling, etc. is what we needed initially when they said that we were free. Yes, we still need to revamp those things, but in capitalistic society, we also need money. He also said something else. Let me see. He said the echo was bad, so I do hear that echo. So, you know, that's like letting someone out of prison after 30 years with no plan of transitioning back into society. Exactly. And that's the point. What I'm saying, like, you give people money, they're not going to know what to do with it. They're just going to spend it on regular stuff.
Even if they did, though, Dre, do what they want to do.
I disagree.
Knowledge don't make you.
I disagree.
Things. You know what I mean? Like, people still going to do what they want to do.
I disagree.
Part of me feels
come on, man. Everybody got education out this motherfucker.
No,
I mean, people know they just don't have the will to engage in that shit. I mean, like they could know a lot of stuff, but they'd rather go the way they want to go. You know what I mean? That's just how it is. Individually, this country is an individual thing, man. People do what's best for how they feel. You know what I mean? And that's just how everything is, man. You know, like I'm not. I mean, the school thing and all that is a good thing, and that's your job. You getting the money right? You should be the person doing it. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You want to start the systems and stuff like that. You should get that. You got the money now. You can do that. You can make the because you can't depend on every individual to feel the way you feeling or thinking because thinking about survival. They're not thinking about
interference coming from your there's some interference coming from you.
They're not thinking about the past. They're not thinking, what better school systems and all that. You know what I mean? That's what you're thinking. So if you have the knowledge, Dre, then that is your part to build this. Have you can start it yourself. You can make a difference.
Okay, here's the thing. What I'm saying. And the echo.
Because this world gonna be what it is, man. People gonna be who they are. Period.
People are not who they are. People are conditioned. So when you say the education thing doesn't matter, actually it does because the education.
It matters, but you know what I'm talking about.
Let me make my point. The way you see the herd moving right now is educational conditioning. So you can't say the educational component is not important. Everything you see happening right now is social engineering from an educational perspective. That's just how powerful education is. Someone is controlling the education and the outcome of it. Thus, you have a society that we have right now where you're saying people going to do what they want to do. Actually, people are not doing what they want to do. People are doing what
I'm saying they get the money they are.
No, people are actually doing what they're programmed to do. Right now, from an educational system that's been put in place to produce that mindset. Does that make sense?
How can you change that mindset when it's been a transcending thing? You think you just gonna come in here and make these it's gonna want to change the way they think? You think that's gonna really happen? Really think that's gonna just happen? You think people gonna get millions of dollars in their pockets and be about an educational system, man? I'll just be real about it, man. Like
no
education, from my perspective. Education is a systematic way of thinking. So either way you put it, like there's free minds out here that can use that money and they can use it to be happy. And who cares about education? Because life is educational itself. The education you learn in all languages and all be part of another system. So does it really make any way trying to still go into more systems? Why can't people just be free and go their route where they want to go and just leave me the fuck alone? Why everybody got to be under the same pool and swim in the same pond with dirty sharks and shit? You know what I mean?
That's the world we live in.
I kind of feel like if we were to get reparations, and we did not stand together as one and build certain things and do certain things, let's just say all that money was wasted, or majority was wasted on people that aren't educated and don't know any better what to do with money. I kind of feel like if it came down to them needing some sort of assistance, or they needed pretty much it's here's the money, y'all better make this work, and the hell with y'all. That's kind of what I feel like to a degree. You know what I'm saying?
It's up to you. It's up to you. It's up to you. And it should be up to you. It should be up to anybody else.
Oh, you got well, you had reparations, so I mean, it's kind of like the
go ahead.
Stop needing.
Again, so because you guys couldn't hear before.
You sound good right now. Okay, you sound rich. You just hit the damn bladder.
Any other ethnic group, when they receive these reparations, because mind you, if we'd have received if we were to receive reparations, it would have been 400 plus years ago, and we're still counting the clock to injustices to us as a people. Do you think that any other ethnic group that had a law recently passed as far as quote unquote socially just manners to how to treat them, or anything regarding that, do you think that they were taught, number one, how to spend money, how to preserve money? We're talking about the educational at the people of who have already received these reparations. They didn't waste time to decide what we were going to learn, what we were going to do, and what resources we needed to do. You move forward by acknowledging what you need
whether your economic status, your social status, your last name, surname status as a family, because it was no questions asked. It was just an amount that they felt that they were needed to receive, and they received it. They moved on how they moved. Whether all of them moved, whether partial of them moved, they moved. We're wasting time. We're wasted energy and conversation and worrying about what educational resources we have today, what we need to learn today. Because if we were to receive it 400 years ago, what education did we have different? It
But
makes no sense.
but you know
So
what?
what
Like,
at this time, when you receive your represent, you can actually leave this country. I don't even have to be a part of you all here in the US. I could
oh,
choose
that's
to
true.
relocate to where I came from. I could choose to go any other place in part of the country. I don't have to put that resources back into this United States. That is again the choice of the person. So think about it. 400 years ago, we really didn't have the education we have today is in 2023. Your backing of what's going to protect you when you receive that money is if the laws and the Constitution change for you. It is not going to change for you, not anytime soon. So when you receive this money, it doesn't matter what education you have. It doesn't matter if you spend it. If there are some that will waste it and probably put it right back into the hands that gave it to them, that is fine. But us as a people that are now, some of us are conscious and awake. We're not always going to all be awake and agree at the same time. So the resources that we need, then you move forward. You do it for you and your clan. You do it for you and your circle and your people. Don't worry about us as a whole, because that's the continual thing that will hold us back of what we're trying to do as a whole. Because if you give me my reparations 9 times out of 10, goodbye, nice knowing you, and I love you. Stay here. You could do you could, because no matter what, unless you homestead and unless you take a piece of land, become some land and become a community of your own, you're always going to need some part of that money back into the resources of what gave it to you. So the conversation just needs to be the negotiation of enough. What we plan to do, there's to have resources of what avenues a group of us can go to, what we want to do with our money, clubs, whether we're going to be land investors, real estate investors, bank owners, whatever the situation is. But at the end of the day, we're doing ourselves a disservice to say that we're kings and queens, but then acknowledge that we need some sort of leader or additional education. We're not using our self-worth enough. We downplaying ourselves by keep saying, okay, but we need this and we need that. Well, then do it. Because at the end of the day, they're not going to. With or without money, they're not going to. So
Right.
let's not do ourselves a disservice and talk about how great we are as a people and then turn around and kick our own selves in the back and say what we need. Well, once you get the money, give what we need if you plan to stay here. It's that
Right.
simple.
Right.
There's no need to hinder a negotiation on the table that is so close, because that's exactly what they're going to do. And that's why the number keeps diminishing, because they're thinking, oh, really, it should be a mil a year. It should be 400 plus, because we're still counting the clock of injustice.
Right.
We're
Right.
still not, they're still considering the reason why they came here was to civilize a people. They thought that we in Africa were not civilized, to take us from here and still say we're not civilized. That constitution and no laws are for Western civilized people in their eyes. It will never change for you. Take that money and maybe abolish the Constitution, yes, but we could do that now even without the money. But we so stuck on we need a leader. We don't need a leader. If we're such a mighty of a people, we don't need anybody else but us.
You're so right.
That's what we don't need is a
You're
leader.
so right.
So, and it hurts me to sit there and that we shouldn't even have a debate about it. Let's just all get to the table and just say it's just not enough money. Because even if I accept this money, I'm leaving an open-ended contract. You still owe me. You owe me. Because half of those people in my family might be dead by now. You owe me. When that $200,000 and $1 million is just not enough.
It's
Yeah,
not
you're
enough.
right.
enough.
You're so right.
It's not enough. So, with that being said, you would have subgroups. You would have groups that would splinter off and say, "Hey, you know what?" Going on to what Elijah Muhammad said, you know, I personally feel like we're at a juncture where we have to separate, because you can't reform the devil per se. You just can't do it. And When we speak of the devil, we're talking about those things that are not righteous. We're talking about those people who are not righteous. You can't reform them from that because it's a psychology that is what it is. So we have to figure out a way to formulate your own thing, whatever that
Right.
is, but get off
And what
the
we got
cake.
to do to piggyback off what you said is stop looking at segregation as such a negative thing. Because we all have people we mentor, or children, nieces, and nephews, and we encourage them to segregate from the negative to be able to continue to move forward positively. Segregation was only considered a negative thing because it was the white people that segregated us unequally. Equal
Right,
Right.
right.
segregation is fair. That means I need to separate myself, get my shit together. Then maybe I'll come back to even my people or even y'all. But once we segregate to build, we don't need to make the mistake again. Please forgive me. I love Martin Luther King, but we don't need to never look back to them. Once you segregate yourself to fix yourself, just like I feel women need to segregate and fix themselves, let men segregate and fix themselves. There's always positive segregation. And then you come back with equal forces to be able to move forward. But at the end of the day, when we finally do get the notion or all agree that once we separate fairly and equally, do we not rely on them again? We build and keep building for us. We don't need to go ahead and
That's
go
what I
back
was
and go
trying
to
to
bank
say.
financial service. I think that was our biggest mistake during the 50s and the 60s when we successfully boycotted. We in
Right,
turn
right,
went right back to them and
right.
then totally fell complete victim because we wanted to be quote unquote seen and equal and wanted our pride to be seen throughout. We don't need our pride seen throughout. If we're such a great people and came from royalty and kings and queens, fuck them.
Right,
Period.
right.
Yes, honey.
Sorry, I cursed.
Even if you go back to ancient Kemet, um, we had very strict border laws, very strict kingdom laws. We were self-sustained amongst our people. The only thing that outsiders were able to do is come to our borders and do business. But they could not come in and because the thing about assimilating into something, you got to conform to somebody else's system to be there. You have to do that.
That was our mistake. We never even demanded that to be changed, and that was and I get it. And again, a lot of fears and PSD for that time that they had dealing with that, and not even thinking to say, hey, if we were going to go ahead and come back and reconjugate with you, these are things that are going to have to change. We were looking for things like to vote and all things that just basically would not impact us even today. So now that we know better, I think, even if you're not awake or not, however, I think we all know better that some, some situations are just better that we rely on completely self. Stop looking for a leader. Stop looking for us to do the resources because we do have, to believe it or not, we have resources out there that help us now, but because we're not sharing enough, we're looking at the resources enough to know that they're out there. We still have a lot of work to do as a people, whether that is self-hate or hating on someone else, and all the other social things that come into why why is it hard to just share someone else's business or to use them for their resources because we feel some type of insecurity. And that's again part of the PSD that we deal with amongst ourselves. But please just if anything ever happens to me today or tomorrow, you or today tomorrow, know that at least this circle of group that we know that there's resources out there. This is one of the podcasts that basically should be talking about more so not about what we don't have, but you know what, maybe this is what we have out there. Here's a list of businesses, here's a list of people that are doing these, here's a group on Facebook that gives resources or job, whatever the situation is. Because it also, why I'm more so silent is because the more that we do talk, it's kind of now self-reflecting to that we talk, but then we turn around and downplay ourselves and like we need something else to do this. And I'm just waiting. My silence is just to wait for other people to see that we just need to move. And I don't want to just waste time on what we don't have, and let's just move.
We actually have realistically everything we could
need.
possibly need
Yes.
When
Thank
you
you, Dre.
really think about it deeply,
Thank
we
you.
do have everything we need. We're just not utilizing it when
Thank
you
you.
really, really think about it. And I'm gonna give you an example because when we figure out the game or anything that they set up to kind of keep us out of, you can tell when we are entering into the door of the house when they go and change the rules right in the middle of the game.
Come on. Come on.
Right in the middle of the game, they changed the rules because we
Come
figured it
on.
out. Now we're in. It's like, oh shit, we in. What's up? And then they got to scramble to redesign the shit to try to confuse you again. So right now we have everything we need. We have access
Yes.
to everything. We can get
Yes.
anything. So it's just a matter of us being proactive about it. But I do agree, and not to sound morbid, and I have this thing from a universal perspective that we've been through cycles. This is aside from just history and our story, but I'm just looking at the planet as a whole. We've had a lot of cycles where things had to be uprooted and replenished because things were kind of going awry. And I honestly feel that ancestry, nature, whatever you want to call it, that we're going to get to a point where this system has to be uprooted to give birth to a new. And you would have the opportunity to create that universe that you see yourself in. And I think we're there now. And
Come on.
and this is one of the reasons why
I
they're
was gonna say,
scrambling
yeah.
so hard to
Come on.
maintain control.
Come
Because
on.
not
Mhm.
just us, but we are
Mhm.
universe, we are ancestry. We've poked so many holes in this thing that they
Mhm.
can't even keep up with putting the plug in it at this speed right
Yeah.
now. The
I
quickening.
think, Dre, you're so. I think you're right, and I think that's why they come out harder with TV, news, radio. But if we say, for example, just the five of us chose to not turn the TV on for ratings, and if anybody in our select circle groups, do you know that once that happens, that there's no more industry income for them just by turning the TV off?
Right.
There's apps just turn. If it would even make me so proud if we just all one day, every black person in the U.S. of America and abroad, just turn the TV off just for one day, just to see the effectiveness. Turn it off. Don't even turn it on. Turn it off. Do you know the impact that you would have? Because now they're going to come ask us, what do you want to be included? Well, we're not going to include ourselves, but we would like this change.
Right.
Now they're open to communicate, but we don't never have to go back. Never, ever, ever again. Change it. Change it.
Right. Tasha, I want to hear from you. What do you think, Tasha?
Quiet as a church mouse, as always.
She's
You guys
listening
are
for the
saying
flight.
I listen. No, I listen. I'm listening for my flight too, but I'm listening. No, because you guys touch base on a lot of good things, and I see every aspect of it. I mean, at this point, like Curry said, like the money is not enough. I think it kind of feels like it's just here, hush money, or here. You know what I mean? It's just like a, you know,
Right.
but like you said, I mean, we gotta be the change with or without the money. We
Yeah.
gotta start something. You know what I mean? Because there, like you said, it's gonna be hard to deprogram. We can't deprogram everybody.
That's true.
Hey, either they get on the mothership or
You
they get
know,
left. They either get left.
we can't deprogram everybody. Shit, we could barely
Right.
deprogram the people in our circle, trying to, you know what I mean, or people around us
Right.
when we try to talk about
Right. Right.
things we talk about. So it's just a matter of, unifying with those who are willing to help be the change.
Right.
And it's funny
And,
because if you look at the continent of Africa, people think, well, you're African, so that's just like a they look at it as a blanket thing if
mhm,
you're from Africa. Well, if you live
right.
in Africa, but when you go to Africa, there's so many different nations, it's ridiculous.
There's are.
And
But
they
there were
coexist.
actual Black people in America. Not
Right.
everybody is from Africa.
So we have to go back to believe it or not, and I've been kind of got off of the we as a people thing. And I got off of that not because of my ego, because I understood how spirit works and how
Mm.
purpose works in this dimension. Like we didn't all come here as one big group. We were incarnated as individuals, and we all have individual tasks and reasons why we're here and experiencing what we're experiencing right now. People negate that. So with that being said, I think slowly but surely we're going back to being a having more or less of a tribal uh, feel to where we're going. And if
Mhm.
people are in your tribe or vibrate with your tribe's frequency, that's just what you're gonna gel with, and then you
Mhm.
cohesively y'all survive in that you know
Yes.
kingdom, so to speak. And I see
Yes.
that naturally brewing and being a natural
Yes.
thing because you can take a whole block of people who have what we call a neighborhood just on a block. And if they all collectively get together to say, hey, let's say society takes a turn and goes to real shit, people can collectively sustain themselves on one block and grow
Yeah.
food and heal
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
be everything you need within a block radius
Yes.
in real
Absolutely.
time.
Yes. Yes.
In real time. So we don't, like I said, we have everything we need. As far as the money, I don't. It would never be enough. But like CK said, you throw it out there, and I've always been this person. Regardless of the amount of money you gave me, I'm gonna make it work for my own liberation.
Thank you.
I'm gonna make it
Yeah.
work. And you don't have to be here. Number one, you don't have to be in this
Mhm.
country. But like
Mhm.
I said, you can work wonders. We've always worked wonders with the crumbs and peanuts that they've given us. That's just how resilient we are. So, look at that. Like, that's deep. You're going to give me $1 million. I lived off peanut butter and jelly, and I survived food stamps and all this other bullshit that y'all threw out here, and I'm still here. So,
Right. Because keep in mind, that's the only thing amongst themselves of what they're negotiating is what amount is satisfactory. They're
right,
not discussing anything else on that table but what is enough.
right.
That's all that their negotiation is.
What is
Really.
enough? What is
And
enough?
they will take the value away from it too when it gets here. It ain't gonna be worth shit. They're good at that. Just like
What is enough?
everything. Huh?
Right.
I'm just saying, like it's like the stuff we buy today.
But that's
Something used to cost $1. Now it costs like $6, $7. Once they pass that, they're gonna
But
drag it.
but
And once they give you
but
that money, they ain't
Connie,
gonna be worth changing your life.
remember, 400 years ago, it was just 40 acres and a mule.
in a
That's
mule.
all it
Right.
was.
Hmm.
Oh, the same
That's
story,
all.
right?
40 acres and a mule. That's all. Because at the end of the day, if I wanted to take money out of it, I just thought about it then, don't even fucking give me a mill. Give me what you promised 400 years ago. Give me my 40 acres and
That
fucking
was the
mule.
super. That was
Because if
that
That
I
makes
was
was
more
the
to give you
super.
my
sense.
40 acres and my mule, half of the condoms, half of the
Damn,
condominiums,
it's a lot of
half
work.
of the business sectors, they have to come down because to give each black person and also family sector by surname their 40 acres, half of this shit will go back to plantation.
Exactly. So the
So give
original
me
deal
my 40
was cheap.
acres and my goddamn mule so I can get the fuck on.
Right.
That's
What's
it.
more
Because
important,
it ain't
right?
even about the money. Go ahead. Let them put their foots in their mouth. You don't have to give me nothing really but what you promised 400 years ago. Let's start there. Now, because
She.
if you gave us all 40 acres and a
I would
mule,
definitely take that.
thank you. Thank you.
That makes a big change. They can't. They,
Right.
they can't even fuck with the
Half of this
value on that.
corporation, half of this corporation or whatever things that are built up on this land will have to be dismayed and come down
Right.
to give me for every one of us our 40 acres.
Pablo
Absolutely.
Chalk in the chat said, "Give me 40 acres and 2 Caterpillar tractors, and he good."
To what?
Caterpillar tractors, 2 tractors.
I like
Oh.
those. I like those. I like those.
But that's true. And you know what? They realized just how much work
Important land is.
that original promise was, and it was like, hell no. We cannot do this. And we, I'm gonna keep it a buck. Growing up and hearing that deal is like, when you're young, it's like, that's some bullshit. Now that you're older,
But it ain't.
40 acres, shit,
You know how much 40 acres is?
a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Hell, 2 acres is a lot.
Mm-hmm. Because
I'll
keep in mind,
take
the
my
average
40
house,
acres.
the
and
average house in Neptune is only on 1 acre.
Right.
If an acre. One house is if an acre.
I got a question, but was that promise for individual or was that for all? You know what I mean? Like was that problem? I mean, was that deal like considered to people, the 40 acres to people, or was it individually 40 acres?
To be honest, I think what happened when they were abolishing slavery, and as each male unit of a family, that's why they broke up the family unit, because kind of like each family was the 40 acre. It was the male representation. If there was a family unit of a mother and 2 kids, they probably missed out on the 40 acre and the mule, but had every opportunity if that woman was a worker, but it was family unit.
So there you have it.
By
guys.
surname. It was family unit by surname, meaning each individual household had their 40 acres and mule household.
Okay.
So yeah, man, when you really look at it, it don't take much to furnish your so-called freedom in this country. It really don't take much, and they realized that early on, and that's why they kind of, it was like, nah, we can't do this, because like she said, most of the land will be owned by us. Real talk.
Yeah.
But yes.
You are listening to
they giving up no land, bro. Their money means nothing. They not giving up no land. That land be triple,
buying
triple
up
the
land
price
anyway.
Huh?
I said we buying up land anyway.
Yeah, right now, but when we get all that money, that land gonna go. That the prices on that land is gonna be outrageous, where you ain't even gonna be able to touch it. I know how they work. They been.
We'll figure that out too. We'll figure it out. Because we're at a point where in our evolution where they can't really hold this thing up any further.
They can't. It's inevitable. Like it's a wrap. Like it's literally a wrap. So either way you look at it, it's going in the direction where they don't want it to go.
Right.
They've been doing this shit for thousands of years.
There is no choice. There's no option. It's happening, and it's going to happen. There's no stopping it. It is what it is.
Right.
That is correct.
So now that they're having the talks of reparation and giving out,
hurry up and just pay it. Yep.
Is a telltale sign that you got to look at the fact that, and this is something I wanted to touch on earlier, that television and media is probably the biggest, well, it is the biggest control arm of the ruling elite when it comes to society. What they put on televisions and all this stuff. And when you start seeing the narrative break down and they are constantly trying to implement new ways of control, is a telltale sign that you're losing control. When you consistently have to create something to lock people down, so to speak. And, early on, it was, they had this, they had that. We knew about this, we knew about that. Now it's so often they're coming up with things because the pieces on the chessboard are moving so fast that even they have to adjust so quickly. And we have figured out how to play the game and what the moves are. We know the blueprint.
Right.
So now at this point, it's a lot of damage control going on. And I wanted to touch on the whole experiment that went on. And we know what that experiment is. We're having a situation where the narrative is breaking down and they can't continuously plug up the holes that are being sprung with information. It's coming forward. You got to keep in mind that the first level of a person's sovereignty is their body, their persons, their soul. And when you infringe upon that willingly, and then this person finds out that you did that, and there is no way out of that, there has to be a level of repercussion. We can't fathom the level of repercussion when it comes to the fact that, of course, they'll play the blame game. But what I'm saying is when people really find out that you have infringed on my very life, and there is nothing I can do about it because the damage is done. No telling what is going to happen to me at this point. People are going to go off the rails. We are at the cusp of this. It is going to be felt.
It's going to be a war. It's a war. It's a war.
And I was going to go there. People are going to get to the point of, I have to do something to somebody. It is what it is. When you look at the level of hurt that this thing is going to create. I wanted to come on and because I compiled the list, and I'll probably do it on the next show. And I'm kind of watching the trend. And I know there's way more than what I know about, but I'm watching the trend with souls that are departing here under the same circumstances consistently. I don't know if people are aware of this thing, but it's occurring, and they're keeping us so distracted that a lot of people are not picking up on it. But people are leaving under the same circumstances, the same thing, and it's happening so frequently that I said, you know what? I'm going to have to mention this, not to go full scale into it, because it's a very touchy situation, a touchy conversation, because you have people that are very close to you, that went down that road. Even if you personally went down that road, that's one of those things that you have to say, and not to judge why a person did it. I'm not in that position. All I'm saying is, and this goes back to my previous podcast where I said the universe is now taking what it needs and deleting what it doesn't.
Trying to repair itself. It's definitely trying to repair itself.
And with that being said, by default, you have people who are still plugged in, and it's like unegotistically, unhatefully, I don't need you because you haven't evolved to a state where you can have at least full control of your body and your, to make a sound decision about your being. Just that. And that's heavy. Somebody said, well, what about the mom who has the kids and she got to work and got to feed her kids, and, and how do you, and I get that, but I used to give a pass to that to say, people have to make hard decisions under hard conditions. I don't do that anymore. Reason being, I can't sacrifice my being, because if I sacrifice my being, I can't be here for my kids anyway.
But what if somebody's willing to sacrifice themselves so that their children or their family or whatever the case is moving forward? You understand what I'm saying? Like, they'll be the
sacrifice for
sacrificial
the family
lamb in order to.
Okay, I mean that's you. So you're a martyr.
Technically, I guess. I mean, you might know what the circumstances are, but you kind of sacrifice yourself so that things can thrive in your household for your family and whatever the case is. So moving forward, I don't know what the circumstance might be, but I mean, what if somebody's willing to do that? Like, I'm gonna just be the sacrificial lamb so that the shit could stay afloat until whatever happens.
I can't argue with that. If you make a decision to be a martyr for your family, but only under the circumstances that you are fully informed.
Right.
Don't
That's
make
what,
yourself a
yeah,
martyr and the motherfucker lied to you. Like, no.
no. That's what I'm talking about. Like being fully informed, and you're just like, you know what? Like, I'm gonna have to
Right.
take the L so that like my children and my, or if it's a husband, like so my wife and my children and whatever the case is, like, I mean, you
Right.
don't want anybody to be in that situation, but you don't know what people will do. Like, you know what I'm saying?
So Pablo says, yeah, but the mom isn't on that level as you. Again, we are all on different levels of this world.
That's
Now,
very true.
and what I have to say to that is this goes back to universe utilizing what it needs and deleting what it doesn't. You have a mystical understanding of the situation, then you got a human perspective on it. We're discussing right now the human perspective of why a person would make that decision. On a mystical level, it's all about your spiritual evolution. So if you haven't gotten to grade 8 and grade 10 was required to go to the next level in the planet's evolution, then you just didn't make the cut. Is that a bad or a good thing? That's relative, but at the same time, you can come back and pick up where you left off from a mystical perspective.
Right.
So it's all good. It's all good. You just got recycled, But and I hope that makes sense. He said, if you're informed, that's different, bro. If you're informed. Right. And that's what I'm saying. Like, we were not fully informed. We had this discussion, and me and Jay had this discussion about being fully informed. And we weren't fully informed at all.
But that was the plan.
Right. We were not fully informed.
You're never going to be fully informed because that's the plan. They're going to be just enough
Right.
to get you to move a certain way.
Right.
And like we actually had this discussion in my house because it got to a point where it was like, somebody's gonna have to, like, you know what I'm saying, because of job requirements and stuff like that. But
Right.
sometimes you find somebody in the cut and you a couple of dollars here and you make it work. You make it work.
Pablo, and DCR, the reason why I have you muted because I've kind of located the anomaly in the disturbance. It's your audio.
Oh.
So whenever I unmute you, we have an echo. I don't know what that is. But
look at Pat.
I'm gonna unmute him and we'll go ahead. You hear the echo?
Now I hear nothing.
It is Pot.
Yeah, it's Pot.
Now it's me. It's just bouncing from person to person.
So I gotta mute you. So I'm gonna answer Pablo's Pablo said, if you're informed, that's different. And then he says, but what is fully informed? And that's a good question because
that is
the position that a person had that were to a degree informed, and my client that I had in my barbershop at the time, he was sitting in the chair, and his expertise is he went to school for biology, virology, and all that stuff dealing with how cells and things work and viruses and bacteria and he's really dope. And it's funny because we were having this discussion and I turned him around in the chair, and the person that I was talking to, which was Jay, had a position of people being informed to make a good decision. And I was like, no, people were not informed how they should have been informed, because the level of information that they gave, they took it for face value to be that people were being honest. And I turned my client around in the chair and he went to explain and break down all the aspects of
he went in
viruses and the body and how the mRNA works and the injections and how it travels here and there. And the level of understanding that he had, the average person doesn't understand that. Now, had the average person got that level of breakdown and what it may cause, then you would have had a fully informed reality of, okay, if I do this, these are the potentials on that level. At that point, if you made that decision, whatever came down the pipe, I can't even be mad at you. Like, you really knew and you still did that. So, but no, people weren't informed. They just weren't.
But okay, I have a question because just like you said, the brother had an interest and it was his responsibility to inform himself, to read, to be able to accept.
Well, he actually went to school for all that stuff.
She about to say exactly what I was talking about. I know she is.
Listen, it is our responsibility that once we know that information is false, or that because when we take an interest in what we want to know,
right.
It is at that point your self-responsibility. And what hurts me more so is when people say, oh, they're teaching us this and we don't know. Is it not my hands are able to tap in some keys or to pick up a book, to expertise myself on what I need, especially on self?
Right.
Like, we have that thing, and I think that's part of what we talk about when we talk about PSD or relying on something, and we're so stuck on what is false and what's being taught. But when you take an interest in something, whether it's self, a subject, you learn that thing.
Right.
So that's the most important thing I think is key, is that we know that a lot of stuff that we're misinformed, but now in 2023, we have the resources to expertise ourselves and ready ourselves and gives us the tools to know. Because are we not knowing beings? I mean, we kick ourselves in the back and sitting there saying that we were misinformed. Well, half of the stuff that you're taught is already instinctively in your brain. You just got to tap into it. Once you start reading, it's going to come. Once you start looking and investigating in whatever truth or whatever subject you want to know, you're going to know spiritually in the realm of what you're dealing with. Whether you take, again, what Dre talks about, going into another dimension, you're now looking back into this realm to say, okay, I've got the tools, but I know this particular tool this don't work over here in this dimension. So I'm looking out, and now I got to revamp the whole system to my chakra, my mental, my knowledge, everything, the way I speak, the way I hear, the way I taste.
Right.
It completely starts to change. And that's an individual thing. And we are all promoting that we all become some sort of type of conscious to acknowledge that, that we are being taught some false or inaccurate information. And that's a work in itself for us individually to try to keep bringing people on a board. But again, I think what Dre was talking about, that sometimes we're relying too much on trying to teach each other what we know. We can say it one time and then we must let it go, because then at that point it becomes to where I'm learning now, I just need to say less. I need to do less. I need to be less visible, because at the end of the day, I know that my people are going to come, my tribe are going to come look for me. They're going to come find out what it is I'm doing. They're going to levitate to me. So that's where it's very important that when you are in that learning stage, or you're dealing with another dimension, it is not all peaches and cream. It is not rainbows and stardust. It is a detrimental, life-surviving, soul, demonic, spiritual experience.
To add on what you were saying,
it takes a toll.
Why it was such like imperative for them to push through, like, the news, all of this fear mongering over people. Because
it was the whole fact of why they took away the knowledge of us. Why they distorted the whole, because we are who we say we are. Now we got to stop saying who we are and living in what we are.
That's very true.
This goes to one aspect of what I was saying with the whole situation.
Sorry, Dre, didn't mean to get you off track.
Nah. This ties into, minus the information. Let's say you don't have access to information, or you're just lazy or whatever, just don't give a fuck.
Right.
You still have a connection to source.
You have a 9-month stored data storage base when you're born already. You have 9 months of knowledge. You're not 0 and 1 years old. You have 9 months of instinctively based knowledge that you inherited from your mother.
Right. So they start us off at 0 point time reference when we come out.
Negative, right?
But you're actually older than that. But yeah, there's a level of tapping in that we all have that gives you a feeling that something's not right. Regardless if you have all the formal information, you feel it in your being that something is not right. A lot of people
Mhm.
ignored that.
Yeah. Mhm.
A lot of people ignored the biological spiritual compass that they had to navigate them through that storm, and they ignored it. And I know people personally who did not know the ins and outs, but they knew in their being something ain't right. I'ma chill. That's all they needed. That's a person who listens to their first level of protection and guidance without having no books, no information, no nothing. You got your warning and you felt it. It was a direct download to say, hold up, swole up. Nope, something ain't right.
Thank you.
So there are no excuses, but it goes back to what I said before. We're at an evolutionary jump off point where the universe and Mama Nature is saying, hey, I'm taking with me what I need, and what I don't need, I'm going to recycle it. That's not a
You
personal thing. That's not a hateful thing. It is what it is.
Right.
you know the reason why, like when we have the conversations, right? Like that I talk about, because if it came down to having to do it, I was gonna, because I'm the money maker, so I was going to just be like, fuck
Be
it,
the
I'll do
martyr.
it, and it
Be
is
the
what it
martyr.
is. Like, yeah, I literally was going to. It was a whole conversation, and if I didn't find who I found, like that could make shit work for me, like
Right.
I would have did it, knowing the consequences and knowing like what I know. I know that I still have people, that, and I have shit to handle and I got stuff to do. And, like, so if it came to push and shove, like I was going to definitely, it
Wasn't
was
for
already
you.
discussed. Huh?
Wasn't for you.
No. Cause
But see, you took, but see, here's the thing. There are individuals who didn't even wrestle with the idea because they had that much confidence and investment in the system. They know that's why they had the catchphrase, trust the science.
yeah.
Trust the science. We
Mhm.
know. We're the experts. Here's why you had the massive censorship throughout all media. So you had experts,
For
you had
years.
people from around the country that wanted to come forward and say, hey, hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up. We found something. This shit ain't adding up. But they weren't allowed to speak because they had a machine in place to censor all of that.
And if it's not mathing and if it's not making sense in my head, because, like once you get a thing, you actually don't need a thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, so when it's not computing and making sense in my head, I already knew what time it was, but I was
That's where
definitely gonna be like, fuck it. Like
what
I'll just
what CK said. We already you should, the basic knowledge is if you got sick from something and your body overcame it, we keep a copy of that. So when we come in contact with it again, it can go ahead and neutralize it and so forth and so on. That's natural, basic shit that the creator gave us. I think we all should, unless you live under a rock, you should know what the immune system is and how it works on a basic level. When they start telling us that shit don't work no more.
You know what's funny? Because someone says to me, asked me the other day, why do you go to the grocery store and the produce aisle? You just stand there for 5 minutes. Because I'm allowing time for my body to gravitate to what it needs. I need each organ to feel And I need to feel what I'm feeling in each organ or decorative of what I'm dealing with in my diet. And I naturally would walk toward what's going to fix me, heal me, my skin, my hair, my health, my ovaries, my whatever ailment I'm dealing with. So you just and some people could just do it where they can walk in and know. But me, I tap. It takes me a minute because it's a whole aura thing for me. It's a whole dramatic, prissy thing for me personally, that I do sit there and I stand to wait until my body touches and feels the produce of what is going to be for me. And it takes me that long because I'm studying how I feel. I need to remember, so because it's all cell memory, as Dre was
Right,
talking
right.
about. To how I felt when I ate this or when I did this. So I know this was good, and the whole science to where this universe has created food to emulate what it helps anyway. It looks like what it's supposed to fix.
Right.
It's a clue. That's the visual clue. And if those of us skip that hint of what a pear looks like or what a tomato looks like to eat to what it fixes, then you have to rely on the cell portion.
I need to try that because
It works.
like from a distance, I'll it's like my eyes just hone in on exactly which one I'm getting and what I'm getting. Like my eyes just hone in on it.
Right.
But if somebody was to like pick it up before I got there, then I'd probably detour and just like not get
Pablo crazy.
But I need to try what you said. What you do.
Wait, what did he say? As a martyr in the
He said, so you think that everyone who took that is a martyr and is gonna croak?
Oh, that was so
That is not what I'm saying, Pablo. You're a martyr if you're a martyr if you're fully informed about what you're going into and you say, you know, I'm doing this for the greater good of whatever your cause is. You're a martyr for that, even if it leads to your demise. Yeah, you are a martyr for that. You're willing to die for it.
The answer to Pablo's question, and this was going back into Christian days. The answer to Pablo's question: those that leave this earth are not damned. We are the ones that are left behind. Because once you come to the point of existence of accepting that realm, will you disappear? Some basically, in regard to why elders to store, when we have human databases where we have elders to where they live to hundreds and hundreds of years old. If you've ever been blessed to have grandparents like I have to live into their hundreds, those were your actual history learners. Those were your storytellers and your to give you that visual of what things might have looked like in the past, your elder. But actually, and that's why when people say, I'm ready to go, or when they kill themselves, or why it's considered to be selfish, is because at this point, until you have awakening to any particular realm of your self-work, of what you need to be doing in your purpose, once you've aced it, even if you've not done it for but one day, can you be taken from this dimension? And yes, when you are taken from this dimension, is because at some point, you have accepted your full responsibility as a vessel here on earth. So you're not necessarily going to croak, but you will not be living here on the living realm.
Right.
You will be living, but not in this realm. So I get it. But the other part of what Dre was mentioning is that we have to learn as a people to sometimes to keep our gifts. We always want to go brag about, and that's why we become the targets.
Yeah.
So that we need to go back to old times and just keep everything in a solidarity situation, because when that's where that question will become, where are our lead? Well, it's time for us to dumb it down and quiet down a little bit, because every time we go and profess someone to be this great person, the CBs and the inventors, what happens? We know that there's some mystical disaster, whether they were killed or shot or taken away, hostage, whatever. They've always been taken away from us. So, and at this point, like what Dre's saying, is sometimes we just have to basically listen to what elders are telling us, because they're here for a reason. Because once it seems like, it's almost like a visual to me personally, that once they are able to gather up all their people, like their tribes or elder for that particular, like Dre was explaining, then we'll all be gone anyway. They're all going to look for us. So it's just like when Erykah Badu's song that has been coming to me for the last couple of days, the mothership might just leave you, and that's okay. Just, do what you got to do. Do your part. You know,
Right.
not everyone else has, not everyone gifts is going to be the same or purpose or have the same purpose. And there's certain people that I think that even some of the movies I've been watching lately that have so much truth to us who we are. And it could be a Disney movie, and it's just like, yo, like, are you kidding me? Like, yeah, I know that nebulas are look like eyes in space, and so we're on the outside of something physical. So Pablo, yeah, the back to the answer. I've already said too much, but yes, once you get into a certain height of level of knowledge and or purpose, you will leave this earth. Whether it's going to be mentally, physically, or spiritually, you will leave, aka croak. Yes.
And we'll have to do a show on this whole ascension thing, which ties into what she's explaining.
So
And
just know that if we're all being seen here, it's because we're still working on developing. But once we do, we'll then begin to disappear.
right, right. And you and some people when they accomplish their uh contract on why they're here in the first place and they go full circle, then they exit.
The body will expire. Yes, the
Yeah.
body will expire. I've
But,
witnessed that.
but
Yes.
we do have a grand thing that's going on this planet, and it affects everybody. We'll have to have a whole discussion on that. I had to put that on brainwashed on heavy. But yeah, he had asked another question. He asked because I'm seeing folks that are basically saying that I was right and they were wrong, or I told you so. I'm sure y'all have family members that took it. Brother, you are right. And that's why I said when this thing comes to and see, I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. I did the homework. I stayed in contact with those individuals who was getting information from like overseas and all that stuff. So I was doing what I was supposed to do, as well as collecting certain supplements and herbs and things that weren't talked about readily in the public, but it was going on in other places and overseas through my contacts. But I had already prepped myself, and it's one thing to say it, and it's another thing to experience it. That when this thing fully comes to a head, we're going to have the spiritual fortitude, the mental fortitude to handle the reality of our family members and friends who may succumb to this. You have to process this early. You have to come to peace with that early. And that's just saying it. That's not even experiencing it, but that's just saying it.
My mother was the first to run and go do it.
Right. So
made my father go do it. Like, and no matter how much I talked and talked and talked, it's like, Joe, like, and now when I say stuff, it's kind of like, well, it's better safe than sorry. And it's like you still don't get it, you know? But
and that goes back to what I'm saying. This is a testament to what I'm saying.
Yeah, it is.
The universe the planet Earth is evolving and it needs warriors. And when I say warriors, it's not always in the context of people who are going to fight.
Right.
But you need rebuilders. You need proactive thinkers. You need people who are actively working on their evolution to think outside of this construct that man has created that they want everybody to fit in. The earth needs people outside of that box to move forward, because that mindset, that whole ideology, that whole civilization can't go where we're going. Everybody is not trying to step outside of that. And that's not a bad thing. That's not a thing to look down on anybody. It's just that we came here for different purposes, for different reasons. And it goes in levels. So who's to say everybody that made over this hurdle is going to make it over the next hurdle?
Over the next.
It's going to get harder and harder until we get out of this thing. You know? Let me see. Tasha say, yes.
Curry.
My father.
Yes.
Hi.
Hey, babe.
So Tasha says her mother and her father was the first as well. And they still try to push her to even do it with all this coming out.
Oh, my parents know, not even to. They know I'm pretty stubborn, so
I've been compelled for the past couple of weeks to really lay out a lot of my findings, and a lot of the stuff is starting to peek through the control paradigm of the censorship now. But where I go and dig, there is no censorship. There's a plethora of information and things that will blow your fucking mind in videos and just things that will have you in awe. We don't get to see that stuff.
Right.
And I want to share it, but I can't because we're not there yet with this thing yet. The doors haven't been blown off yet. But when it does, you're gonna have a disgust to like you're gonna get a true gauge on how evil this thing is.
Yeah.
I don't think people really see it yet.
no, they don't see it. It's not.
It is,
And you know what? In
diabolical.
some cases, even seeing it, they don't see it. You know what I'm saying?
What'd you say?
I said in some cases, for some people, even seeing it, they still won't see it.
Right. Because
Well,
those
you know
are
what that
still
means?
plugged in. They're still plugged
If
in.
the truth kills, then let them die.
Right.
This goes back to the story of Lot and his wife that we talked about. You know, when you get instructions because something is going down and it's going to be destroyed or whatever the case may be, you get instructions to
back.
leave. You got to keep it moving. And even the people that are closest to you that you care about dearly, they can be your detriment because you care.
True.
And even them, you got to be like, I got to keep moving. That's a hard pill to swallow, but you got, like I said, you got to have the fortitude for that. You got to have the fortitude for that because, like I said, they haven't blown the doors off this thing yet. But
yeah, it's going to be a lot of solo. It's going to be a lot of solo time, and you'll start to know that when the time that you desire to just be by yourself, because again, it's a scary thing to see this, and sometimes it's better to just not see the torment of other people, to just stay in your bubble, quote unquote, because it's like Dre said, it once you see it, you can't unsee it. You know, once you feel it, you can't unfeel it, and it's not something that's easily explained to certain people, unless it's your people. But when you there is information that is out there that will completely flip you inside out, turn you upside down into the reality of what your whole physical makeup, scientific DNA is. You are an energy vessel, and that type of thing, like you said, you don't want to push the issue of trying to educate or speak to other people too much, because it is going to be, like a table, like it's topping, it's going to go nice, it's not going to go nice, they're going to walk away. But you could do a disservice by starting to explain some of it and not fully completing it. You're going to be doing a disservice, so it's best to just say nothing.
Right.
And that's the part that where it's hard to see when we see family members maybe going through something and we see it, but we physically can't say, hey, we got to let it go through. That's the hardest part to watch. That's the hardest part to deal with. That's the part of why most of us stay silent, is because we're now working in a factor to basically, now we're becoming mental and physical healers telepathically. And it is so detriment that that course of other people can interfere with what you're trying to do. I think that's what you were talking about, Dre.
Right.
If I'm not mistaken. But it can become an interference, and you cannot allow anything to disturb that focus. It is that serious. It may seem like we're crazy sometimes too. Also, I do get that. We do. Some people be like, she's crazy, went bonkers. People just say, even with my hair, and let it go, or what, because then when you start to do that, you're becoming the most natural self that you are, that you can be. And there's probably a little bit more natural that I can probably get, but I'm still a little, still ain't, I still like to get, dressed up and pretty. But when it gets down to the things in the next year, I probably see myself wrapped up in an all white robe hoodie, walking with a wood staff stick. I don't know. That could be me. That's where my physical appearance might be leading me to.
Right.
I've accepted that.
Right.
Oh
yeah.
a female Moses.
Yeah. So yeah, we got we at the crossroads, and it's gonna get a little ugly. And I'm just gonna be honest. I have to petition for help. I have to petition for strength. I have to petition for my ability to understand, because like I said, it's one thing to comprehend it from a informational or philosophical standpoint, but when you actually are in it and you're experiencing it in real time, it's a different animal. And I have to petition for strength, because like I said, loved ones, friends, it's just going to be one of those things once the doors are blown completely off.
It's emotional. It's very emotional.
And I think that's going to be the critical mass point where we are going to realize that people are going to really, even the normies, I call them the normies, the normal people. And when I say normal, I mean normal is not normal, but I'm using normal for sake of conversation. But normies are the ones who follow protocol. They follow the herd. They follow the system. They have faith in everything that the system puts out. I call them normies. I'm not a normie. I'm not normal. I don't want to be normal.
I just said that because just because the masses is going along with it, and I might see, there's some subjects, I've lost some really good friends from high school recently, and it's not because it can be taken as being rude or maybe saying it a softer way, but that's just not going to be me. But at the same token, just because the masses sees one thing and agrees with it doesn't mean that I have to.
Right.
And it doesn't mean that my way is right. It's just I know that I'm taking the whole, peeling every layer behind and peeling every aspect behind. And because I might follow, but then when I sit back and just wait a minute. And what I say might not seem like it's polite and nice, and it goes along with what you all are saying, but it is what it is. And that's another thing too, to start realizing that I'm about to lose a lot of people, a lot. I've lost some intimate people, and I've lost some very close people, and you start to think it's you, but it is what if I wasn't built for this, I wouldn't be going through it. You know what I mean?
I think your people know you. Like your people, I mean, you lose who you're supposed to lose, and that's just,
right.
But I think that your people know you, like, because if you've lost like people that are really close to you just from a difference of opinion, then those aren't your people.
Right.
Because they would know, like, okay, Curry is like this, like, and her view is whatever have you. But
they know your heart.
Right.
They know your being. And when they know
your people know.
Yeah. They know
That's
conversation. Yeah.
That's true.
That's true, because if people are going to part ways due to an ideology, and not my core value, then it's surface. It's surface.
Yeah, they're not your people.
Yeah.
And most of the time people just part ways because they can't and it's and it's all vibration. When
I think you start to expose their demon. Say, for example, if I say the term, we've gone along too far where we would rather mix a dog. It's not okay to mix a dog, but it's okay to mix a baby, which is so crazy, right? You could be a dude and be like, I don't want nobody to mix my breed of dog with no other breed, but can go mix a baby. But because I say it with passion, yeah, that's kind of fucked up to say, Curry. But at the end of the day, if you take a look at what you're doing, that's more fucked up in itself.
Right.
So those types of things, I think that when me personally, and it's the way I see things, because it'll make you It's gonna make you angry, but at the same token, it is what it is. But
Make
doesn't mean
people angry. Why? It's the truth. It's true. It's the truth.
But say, for example, now I'm mixed, or I have nieces and nephews that are mixed. They know my family members know my point of view. I have Caucasians in they know my point of view. And at the end of the day, this is how being a hybrid works. If I have a light-skinned aunt that marries a white man, and her dad is black and her mother's white, but she goes and marries a white man because she now looks a little more mulatto than me. Her kids are going to come out a little bit more whiter with less black feature, right? Then her children are going to what? Interrace with white men because that's what their dad is. Then she's going to now have children, and then you start to lose. You don't lose the core DNA, but you lose the physical appearance, and that's what I don't know how we started talking about this part, but that's how you diminish us apparently wise. That's how you because DNA is hidden. It's somewhere in here, but the physical shell. That's why if something was illegal for us to mix in the first place, because in the beginning, you are what your father was, and then they changed that to basically because if we were what our father was, we would basically not need reparations.
Right.
We wouldn't need it. But then that became illegal and they changed it because, again, you have to come, even in religion, you had to become evenly yoked with the man to be able to receive. So, to do a disservice of us as a people, the whole concept of love everyone, yes, love everyone. But when it get down to the get down, after our generation is gone, there's not going to be anything but a bunch of hybrids walking around. And that's what's wrong with the kind of makeup that you have. Because people think that this generation mentally don't think right, well, that becomes a mixing of DNA, not to be racial, not to be a hating person of race, but that's what happened is when you break down the function of the mental brain matter DNA, you then start to make confused people. Confusion.
Because you gotta lean either or when you have
Yeah.
that.
It's
and
confusing.
that's where the battle comes in.
And it's not to say not to love other people, not to intermingle, but if you start to look, and it's almost sad, and this is what I'm starting to see. There's another thing I've been silent about. I've seen brothers that had babies with black women, and they've separated or no longer together, and go get with this Hispanic or Italian or what other person, and have this hybrid looking baby, and they're also in tune to that child. Never before giving the other children the same time that they're giving now. And we quote unquote see it as, oh, they, become a man now. No, it's because of the physical appearance that they're more comfortable with.
Right.
Even as black men. And that's what I think hurts us as women, to where we see that. It's not necessarily the white, but I even said something I remember my grandmother saying, if they can't use your clothes, you don't bring them home. And that was said way before my time. But I said it recently because that's what I'm starting to see is that and I think even with Nick Cannon, I don't know why we even talk about this and how we got on this, but even with Nick Cannon.
We just talked about this.
Just with Nick Cannon, I don't mind what you're doing. I actually like it, but do it with black women. Do it with black women, it will be good. I don't mind what he's doing. I like it. That's what men are supposed to do.
Right. Yep.
I'm not mad at it. Just don't make so many hybrids. So because eventually we're going to disappear, and it's really not even going to matter anyway. It's just like that. So that's the other thing is what we're doing. Should I be quiet? Because at the end of the day, it's really not going to matter because at the masses, we're mixing too much. We're mixing. That's why they don't want you to have ancestral sex because you break down the DNA. You make mental dormant children. You make
right.
I don't want to say the R word. You make
they just don't come out right.
Yeah. You don't. And this whole third cousin remove you and that's the whole purpose of why they even said it's okay to marry your third. Like, come on, like you gotta look behind and see these are traps. These are just traps.
Right.
But I don't know how we got there. I don't know what made me say all that, but
you were meant to say it.
Yeah, but then at the same token, I have noticed and taken upon myself, I've become a little bit more silent. And that's just because I'm dealing with another level.
Right. What is this? Are you trying to slow down his lupus and
But
stuff?
are we still on live?
We
Yep.
are.
Oh, okay.
I don't know who AB is. Who is this?
Don't hang up after the
I
live.
will.
Curry.
Oh,
I promise I
Nick
will.
Cannon trying to slow down his lupus with the stem cells of his placenta. Maybe.
What do you say? Repeat. It's too small. Say it again, Dre.
I don't know who AB is, but they're saying that they're saying Nick Cannon is trying to slow down his lupus with stem cells from the placenta. You know how when you have a baby, they want you to keep the cord blood, the stem cells. So when you have any type of
Well, then all the
diseases.
more is why he needs to start procreating them with more black women, because the placenta is not going to do him a hella good because he's
Right.
already broke down his stem.
Right. Makes sense.
So I get what he's trying to do, but he's doing it with
He's
unethical.
doing it wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. He's undoing it unethical. Not is it ethical? Whatever. Yeah.
Ethically, unethically.
AB, could you put your name in the chat so I can see who it is?
AB.
Yeah.
AB, like JV.
You know what though? And listen, remember this podcast we did with Kanye West?
Right.
And I took a look at my name and I had to change it. I asked Facebook to change it because I wanted the capital Y and a Ye, because my name is also Seek Ye, Seek Self. But they denied me to change my name because they asked me for a reason. And I said, because my name is representation of where I need to seek self, and that's my name. I'm seeking myself. Seek Ye.
Oh,
And they said, due to the reasoning was due to the profound meaning of your name, it's just not something we're willing to change. Or it
They
gave me an
couldn't
excuse.
do it.
No, they wouldn't let me change it.
Mr. Bottoms. Okay.
Who's Mr. Bottoms?
That's my cousin.
Oh.
Oh, AB.
Yeah. His name's
Oh,
Anthony. His name's Anthony. But yeah,
but
we
if that's
covered
what Cannon's doing, he's doing that kind of like really backwards. That's
Yeah.
just like, if look at me right now in the light. If I go procreate with a white man, and then my kids go procreate again with it ain't happening.
Yeah, you disappear. You disappear. But
That was
they
tough
call
to
those
hear. It was tough to hear.
they call
but
them
it's true.
neutrinoids. They have a neutral appearance, so you can't really tell if they're,
Can't tell what they are. And we already have the Eve gene that we create every race. But again, it's just certain things that I know that in my DNA have fallen. Like my mother's beautiful, like she's burnt by the sun, skin and brown and crispy and golden. And look at me. And then
Hell
of
with
course,
golden. I like them black, honey. Give them to me black.
it's called it's called black gold or blue gold. Black gold.
Blue
But
gold, black gold. Give it
there's a hue to our blackness that where some people, when they look at black, they
if
see
I can
gold.
only see your teeth, that's I'm fine with that. Your teeth in your eyes, I'm fine with that.
True, that is true.
Like
That's some
black.
sexy shit. That's some
Terry
sexy
Crews,
shit.
he mentioned he said that's like Terry Crews' wife can't tell who her daddy is, right? Because I was looking at her, I was like, is she white? Is she black? Like,
who's Terry Crews?
Terry Crews is the guy that plays Everybody Hates Chris, the dad.
Oh yeah.
Wait, they couldn't tell if he's what?
You ever seen his wife?
No, his wife.
Oh, sometimes she looks black and sometimes she looks white.
Yeah.
She's neutrinoid for real, like for real.
Am I a neutrinoid?
Is she black or white?
No, you're not a neutrinoid.
No, you're not.
Well, okay, so what's
but
the
if you did procreate with a white man,
my kids. So my hair.
Probably.
So, but what if I wore my hair straight? Would I be a neutrinoid then? Like if I wore it straight instead of nappy?
I don't think so.
You got negroid features. Look at your nose.
Yeah, no.
Oh, okay, good. That's what I was worried about. I was concerned, like maybe I do look white to some people, but
no.
But you do give off Sai Baba resemblance. You know who that is?
Who?
Sai Baba.
Saeed?
Sai Baba. He's he was an Indian guru. He had a really big afro.
Oh, well, that's because I'm Indian, but I get that. I thought you were saying somebody else, like from like today. No, okay, I got you.
Yeah, Sai Baba.
But no, that's a good thing. That's a compliment.
Yeah, he had a really big afro. He was
I'm getting
cool.
back to my roots, my Indian roots. My roots.
Yeah, if you talk about Dre, stop. But yeah, man. On that note, we're gonna go ahead and shut it down. But yeah, we covered the reparations thing, and like I said, a numerical amount, it just wouldn't it
I
wouldn't
don't
be
think it's
enough.
enough, but I would take what they give. They just need to
Right,
give it.
right.
Stop.
Take it
Yeah,
and,
just
and,
stop
and make it
talking.
happen. You have
Yeah.
to be smart enough to take what they give and turn it into magic, and that's ability that we have to do with anything from.
Yeah, you made a good point with
Yeah,
that, where you come from
yeah,
food stamps and social,
yeah.
like it don't even matter. Like at this point, the whole stigmata about y'all being at the negotiating table is still it's an insult to us, basically. It
Right,
really is an insult.
right. So we can make it happen with whatever, and we
Yeah,
can't people don't like to hear this, but we're kind of slowly but surely getting back into a tribal thing, and we're gonna create tribes. You're just gonna have to assimilate into your tribe.
I agree.
But
When you said that, that was really on
yeah,
point. Absolutely.
far as this concept of we as a people, no, that is not where we're going with that.
Right.
Now as a people, uh we will share in common interest, but how we think and where we're going, how we're moving, everybody is not going to be on the same page. And keep in mind, and I will add this and end this with this, that we've been there and done that already. That's what a lot of people don't understand that are melanated. They think that we have always been this, and that's due to education, but this fragmented group of people who are just lost
Fragile.
and don't know where they come from and blah, blah, blah. No, we have been at the beginning of this thing. We had the greatest of the greatest civilizations on planet Earth. We built monuments, temples. We created all types of sciences and astronomy, and we known about the universe, this, that, and the third. We created
Always.
universities. The whole shebang been there, got the t-shirt. We done it. We
That's why
take
I say starting from scratch shouldn't even bother us. It should
right,
not even affect us of what we are going to do. Just let's just do it.
right. So being that we've already done that, and this is how nature works. Nature doesn't go in reverse. So going back to that is not the plan. We're going somewhere where we haven't been, and we're creating a new thing. This is what God does. It expands upon itself into a new area and have a new experience, and with that, it knows more of itself collectively. So us going back to ruling this, that, and the third, and all that, no, we've already done it. We come from that, and
Right.
that's what a lot of us don't understand. Um, so on that note, I enjoyed the show.
Yes, it's
A
been
lot
nice.
that we have to discuss. A lot of things. I got to figure out a way to package this up because it's gonna get a little touchy feely. But it's been on my heart, and I really have to figure out a way to formulate it and put it forward. And this goes back to something y'all touched on earlier about not saying too much when it comes to people because they're not ready. And then when you say a lot, people get kind of rubbed the wrong way because the information is so profound, and then you lose a friendship or this or that because um that's something else that we have to get past. Say it, let it be said, and
Anyway,
keep it
yeah.
moving. And
Wasn't it Dr. Seuss that said, say what you mean and mean what you say, because those that matter don't mind, and those that mind don't matter?
So that was Dr. Seuss. Are you
I think it
serious?
was I think it was Dr. Seuss.
Oh wow. I did not know that. I've heard that saying a lot.
well, it's
I did
gonna
Yeah.
not
be
know it
Dr.
was
Seuss
Dr. Seuss.
today.
Go Dr.
If I'm
Seuss.
wrong, you know what? I gotta Google, because
Yeah.
I think it was Dr. Seuss, but
Yeah, it's gonna be Dr. Seuss today. But on that note, I am your brother Mordeeb. This is another POD broadcast put out direct. I like to say thanks to everybody that was in the chat.
Yes, thank
AB,
you guys.
Anthony, Pablo Chalk. Thanks for the questions and the insight that you guys added to the conversation, as well as
Yes.
my my co-hosts that were here and that are not now. Tasha is traveling safely, headed back to her home. So we're going to wish her safe travels. And DCR, we're going to work on his audio. He was having some problems. So I also have to give thanks to Sister J and Sister CK for holding it down after technical difficulties, but they're still standing. Didn't leave the brother by himself. On that note,
Y'all have a
yeah.
peaceful night. Good
Yeah,
night.
peace,
It was
everybody.
good.
Peace, peace, and peace.